But kids are graduating from schools, or they were up until a short time ago, not being able to read and write, and we're living through a period of saying, come on, never mind that stuff. Let's deal with the basics. What about the basics?
But that's right, too. You have to teach young people and adults, and I don't think age enters into this, the social process, human interrelations, how you get along with other people. But you also better give them the skills so that they can speak well, write well, because they're going to want a job, and that's it. I don't see why there's a dichotomy. I don't see why you can't do both.
Well, I think you can. I agree with you. The issue is, how do you do both? I don't think teachers are being trained in the affective domain at all. In order to get youngsters to want to learn.
Affective, you mean feelings, Jerry? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Basically, they don't set the tone for the kids to want to learn. There's no question they need the survival skills we talk about, reading, writing, and arithmetic. But whether that kid that I just killed will want to learn any more in that environment is a question. I would say that from that point on, I have lost one of my students. Instead of stimulating that youngster.
That's a strong word. You said killed.
Yes. Yeah. I say that I probably turned that kid off, and probably mathematics from that point on became a negative subject to him.
And maybe school in general.
And school in general. And I blame myself for that. I also blame my background for it, and I'll take responsibility. Now, I say I could have done a lot.
Where do we go with this? Like Dan mentioned a moment ago, the discoveries, made reference to the discoveries that the psychology and science have given us about the workings of our own brains in the last 10, 12 years. What's ahead for education? Where are we going with this new knowledge, the knowledge of our own intellectual and creative abilities, the hemispheres of the brain, the fact that we have two brains? What is all this going to mean in terms of the future of education?
I think the three of us agree, really, you know, that the schools will have to emphasize a little bit more the affective development and training, together with the basic skills that you were talking about.
The intuitive. We just ran a workshop on right brain. We spent about 4 days just on that. There's an awful lot of data that says that some youngsters learn intuitively and through the right brain more so than the left brain. So if you want them to learn the left brain, you might have to go through the right brain. And so we started to show them how you can use cameras and what we call nonlinear thinking to connect them into the linear thinking so that they can eventually learn mathematics. But basically, the right brain is for many students that, well, they seem to get into it. For instance, some kids are very good visually and intuitively. They can tell you many, many things, and you say, well, yeah, let's go and do these things before we do that.
Jerry, you're a revolutionary. I can hear it. I mean, you're working for the government, and you're out to change the educational system in this country, and you're being supported in this work by the United States government. Here, Helen is working at the largest teacher training institution
in the state.
In the state. Okay, in the state. That's big enough. New York is a pretty important state.
I was going to say something.
And you're a revolutionary, too, then.
But a different way. We talked before the program, and I told you that I had graduated college at a very young age and stayed home for 15 years. Stayed home, raised a family, and then decided that I was going to do something. Those were wonderful years at home. And then I went to work, and because I, at that time, liked children. I did not particularly care about children when I was 19. Found that I enjoyed being there. One of the things that I like to tell to all the students is, find something that you're going to do in your life that is something you love to do. I think the saddest thing that I find are those people, adults, who wait for the weekend to have a good time because they can't enjoy what they're doing every day. Now, if you let students know that there are alternatives, that they don't have to lock themselves in, that what they are going to be at 40 is not what they want at 18 or 19, but it's our job, both the schools, public schools, the private schools, and the colleges, to say, you know what? You want to be an elementary ed school teacher? Well, there may not be a job on Long Island, so take personnel management, and you can be a teacher in industry, which is called a trainer. And that's what we're not telling the students, that there are many alternatives. Train yourself for that.
Yeah, but I guess I have a different concept. Okay? I'm thinking of the youngster in the elementary school, in the junior high school, and in the senior high school has a poor self-concept. How did he get a poor self-concept? If he has a poor self-concept, you can say a million things to him, but he's not going to digest it because he doesn't believe he can get anywhere. And until we change the system so that everybody can come through and have some feeling that he can be somebody and that he likes himself and he likes people, I don't think you're going to get anywhere. And I think that's the affective domain. I think we have to develop support systems within the classroom and within the school for the kids, and also incidentally, for the teachers as well, and administrators.
Suppose we used hypnotism for that. Do you suppose the people out there and listening, and how would you react if we talked about using hypnotism to give people a better self-concept?
Well, John,
what do you do with the watch?
No, wait. You and I know that nowadays when we talk about hypnosis, we don't talk about all the hocus pocus and ritualistic nonsense that was used for many years. And by hypnotism, we simply mean that we are trying to activate that right hemisphere. And again, right and left hemisphere is an oversimplification. There is no activity that is purely right or purely left. The complication is in the way they relate. However, hypnosis is a way of, in a sense, putting in parentheses the linear thinking, the sequential, learned way of thinking through words, and activating more the things that have to do with our dreams, symbolic images, creativity, and so on. Yeah.
It's possible that we might even be hypnotizing people watching this show, isn't it?
Well, yeah, in
Hope
that
we're not
general
putting them to
sense.
sleep.
We might be putting them to sleep.
Putting all sleep, sure, right.
All right. Which, that adds a whole new dimension to this,
Yes.
which is that it's not just the teacher who has a message, but also the recipient. You know, Thomas Aquinas many years ago said that everything is received according to the nature of the one that receives. So some students are so turned off, not just because of the schools, but because of society and poor conditions and family and so on, that just the idea of school will turn them off, and maybe we have to have a new type of school like yours.
Yes, but that's another thing. You can't, the school is not going to be all things to all people. There are other social institutions. The family plays a very large role.
Course.
And you
The
get
churches
some,
and synagogues
that's right.
and other.
You get some children in the school that come from such horrendous backgrounds with such horrendous problems that you're going to do the best you can do in school, but you're not going to be able to solve their problems at home. We cannot do everything.
But you see, even there, I see the school as being so critical, even as a core for the home and vice versa. For instance, we used to write off the kid and say, look at the home he comes from. What can you expect of him? Well, in one of our projects in Bergenfield, New Jersey, we have what is called support systems that were developed for the kid. We try to identify that kid early in the elementary school and then build around him a whole system of surrogate family, so that even if his family isn't good, he's going to be picked up. For instance, we trained the senior citizens, and they went in and they had particular involvement with those kids who needed the most support. So there was a new model, and the youngster coming out of the home didn't feel that all adults were negative because he was getting a lot of love in school. So we can do some things that would nourish that kid, stimulate him to learn in the school, because we had the senior citizens then helping them with the cognitive stuff, the reading, writing, and arithmetic. And it was a win-win situation,
But
not only
then-
for the kid, but for the senior citizens.
Then that's what Helen says. It's not just the school, but extending the school idea into
Absolutely.
other
Environments,
environments in the society,
in the
like senior citizens.
Okay.
And so on. That's great.
My point about television was not to downplay the importance at all of the role of hypnotism. I think there are many ways, just as there are many environments, there are many techniques, and I think that this technique that we're using right now to reach out to people is a very important way of addressing the need that people have. I think we're running very close on time, so I'm going to just take a moment to reintroduce our guests before we finish this segment. We've been listening, ladies and gentlemen, to Jerry Edwards from the Adelphi National Training Institute. We've been listening to Dean Green, Helen Green from CW Post School of Education, and we've been listening to Dan Aros from Long Island University, and it has been our pleasure to have them with us today in the studio with the studio audience. We'll be back in just a few moments with 4 young people that we would like to offer the last word to. They've been sitting and listening, and you might be interested in hearing some of their reactions to what's been going on. I have one final word that I'd like to say, and that's stay with us. We'll be right back.